Hello, this is Amanda Whiting from Roland, and we are here with Gary Willis, acclaimed bassist from the group Tribal Tech, among many others. Tell us a little bit about your beginnings and how you picked up the bass.
I came from a musical family. My parents needed a bass player. So at 13, they bought me a bass, and I played with their music, which was kind of gospel, a little country, and I'm from East Texas. So I played that for a year, then I got a guitar, and I learned guitar and bass for a while, about 7 or 8 years. I think my 3rd year in college, I had to pay back a loan to stay in school. So I had a Les Paul and a Precision, so I had a feeling that my instincts were with bass, all the bands I played in. So I sold the Les Paul and became a bass player at that point. But I always kind of heard music from the bottom up. I kind of learned how music worked from watching my father's left hand, which was driving the music, so it was natural for me.
What were some of your influences growing up?
Well, what it was is I think I was always drawn to instrumental versions or instrumental parts of music that I could find. Every Allman Brothers, Dewey Brothers, War, these bands had instrumental parts of their albums, and to me that was more abstract. And I was just drawn to that abstract nature of it. Eventually, that led me to the jazz section of record bins. And so I kept just searching out for this abstract quality of music. There is a static nature of pop music or music that's not improvisational, that doesn't appeal to me as much, So the abstract nature of jazz, of fusion, mixing, all these styles and elements always appealed to me. You know how it is when you hear a song, you really like a song, and you don't understand the words. As soon as, what happens a lot is once you understand the words, you can only interpret it that way, And so, to me, that's the power of instrumental music, is that you're not confined to an interpretation. You can identify with it if you use your imagination in whatever way that you want to.
And it probably can change over time a lot more.
Right. As you grow, you come back to music you listened to before. As you change as a person, your interpretation of it can change.
Is that kind of how you got involved with Tribal Tech, or tell us a little bit about that, how that started?
I think maybe this first or second year I was in LA, I met Scott through a common friend of ours. And we started out just playing his music. That was an opportunity for me to start writing. And so we ended up hearing music the same way. We would want to make the same adjustments. We agreed on kind of the direction. Although we both independently wrote the music for the band, it always worked together. It always complemented, and I think we had like a 16-year run there for a while. It worked. Eventually, after those 16 years, my moving to Europe and the record company business made us have a break of about 10 years. But I'm here now in LA, and we're going to start tracking a new CD with Tribal Tech this week. So
that's amazing. How has that reunification experience been for you guys so far?
I don't know. We're going to start tomorrow. No, it's going to be great. I mean, we've kept in contact. Various members of the group have played with other various members. So we've continued to grow musically, just maybe more separately. So now we're going to put our forces together and see what kind of havoc we can create. This is the only octaver that doesn't glitch no matter how low you go.
How has, do you think your bass playing kind of evolved from when you first started to where you are now? because you've been with other groups as well, Wayne Shorter, Dennis Chambers, and Allan Holdsworth. How has that experience with Tribal Tech, influenced your work with them?
Scott and I developed this ability to be pretty cold-blooded about what didn't work. We didn't have to really protect each other's feelings. We were very dedicated to the music. So we were able to be pretty efficient with the process of developing songs and developing ways to play them. Whereas other experiences where I've been in, you have to develop a few more social skills, when you comment on the direction of the music, So that was kind of an eye-opening thing when I would go to other musical situations and I couldn't really say exactly what I felt about what should happen musically, And so I think that was one feature that we had as Tribal Tech, is that we were pretty cutthroat about, okay, this sucks, this doesn't work, let's do this, let's remedy it this way, So.
Is there any other people in your scene that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
I've always had favorite players, and I've been real lucky to play with the people I played with. But I don't really hold out a person or an experience to say, okay, this is my goal. If it comes, great. And I've been lucky that a lot of people that I really admire, I've been able to play with. But I don't hold that as a measure of what I should be doing or not. It's a quirky sound, but it shows the sensitivity of the V-bass system.
What other things are you working on currently? I know Tribal Tech's getting together. Have you been doing a lot of side projects also? Or working on...
I wouldn't call it a side project. It's my main thing is this band called Triphasic. It's a trio that I have with a couple musicians from Barcelona. And we have been, I have been incorporating video with the improvisation that we do on stage. So it's been a big learning experience for me, incorporating the sequences and the synchronization of the video with this weird, funky, electric improvisation that we do. But I think I've always felt that, okay, yeah, the music and the playing on stage is important, but it's three guys standing there, and I'm tied to the pedals. I can't run around and jump and do dance moves, And you're playing on stages, you kind of need to take over the stage. So adding this big projection video element to the show has been a big challenge, but I think the results are a lot of fun.
That's amazing. So is that, have you just started that?
It's been the last 2.5 years,
And what's some of the instruments and ways you use to incorporate, your bass playing and music with the stage performance?
Well, a lot of times the bass playing is the last thing I'm worried about, because I'm coordinating the scenes and the music that if we're playing a solo and improvising, we have to jump to the next section. So I'm in charge of, okay, when do we do that? How is that mixed on the stage, and taking cues from everybody. So there's a lot going on as I've got this command central that on stage that I'm using to make sure all that stuff happens. So the bass playing, once I get comfortable with the switching and the mixing and the stuff that I'm doing, then the bass playing is finally fun, but that's kind of secondary in my mind to how the performance goes. This is a mix of the gear effect, which mutes the attack and swells a note in, mixed with really long reverb.
you say you have this giant command center of gear that you're using to integrate audio with visual. What kind of pieces are in that setup, and how do you use them?
So in order to be free to improvise and not have a set structure, I've integrated some of the controls from the VB-99 to my bass here. So the increment decrement switches and the potentiometer are now assigned to this, which allows me to control the scenes that we play along with. So we can improvise as long as we want, and then when it's time to move on, I can just go to the next scene and hit launch, and we're in the next part of the music. And so the MIDI notes are synchronized with the melodies or grooves or events that we're playing musically. So that's all happening on hopefully a huge screen while we're playing. And then that goes to a V8, Roland V8, which I use to, when I change songs, I have to switch to another video source so I can have access to the screen. And so that's on the floor as well. And I've got these switches to control the scenes. Then I've got I've got my bass volume, I've got this one controlling the sequence, the second pedal controlling the sequence volume, and the brightness of the screen. So if we fade the music out, the video fades out as well. I've got another two expression pedals that control the looping that I do, and then individual tracks of the loops that I create improvisationally are also on the floor. So it's a lot to control. Plus I have a little MIDI mixer that some of the songs we kind of improvisationally start out without me playing, and I just bring in loops depending on what it feels like, and that's there, as well as all the other stuff with the VB-99 on the table, computer, interface, little mixer, the Mac Mini video pedals.
Wow, it's amazing.
Busy. I'm busy.
So you have a custom bass guitar.
The custom part is the VB-99 controls. This is my signature bass, so it's not really custom. It's a factory bass that we've modified to integrate the VB-99 into. How
does the VB-99, do you use it on stage, obviously, as well as in the studio?
Oh, definitely. I track with it, for sure, and it's on stage, and of course I use the sounds, but also the FC300 and the expression controls that are accessible in the back here and here allow me to manage all this stuff that I'm busy with, so.
What are some of your favorite sounds in the VB-99?
The meat and potatoes that I use are octave, wah-wah, some really long reverbs. Because it's my signature instrument, I have my sound that I want. So mostly I use the VB-99 as a really, really cool effects unit. Ring modulation, I use that a lot, too much, There's some reverse delays that get some freaky stuff going. In this process of looping, I can establish a bass groove, and I'm free to do whatever I want at that point. And so I'll dial up the Chili Peppers rock distortion guitar and things, when things are really happening, that's one element I'll add, So it allows me to do a lot more than just, okay, I'm playing bass. I mean, there was a development part where I was just focused on getting my sound. So I was developing my instrument, developing my technique, and that was the focus for a long time. But once I started writing and composing, then I was starting to look for different ways the bass could function. At that point, I really embraced whatever new pedal or whatever modification. I always hack everything, So this is hacked, So I started hacking pedals and interfaces a long time ago, so that was just natural for me. For example, the VB-99 is kind of like the ultimate huge 20 or 30 pedals that you can have on the floor in one little package, So that's one of the main reasons, I use it. It's just that versatility in such a small package. One of the misconceptions about the V-Bass when I tell them that I use it is that, oh, that's the MIDI system, And it's, for better or worse, I mean, now that with the VB-99, it does output MIDI, but still MIDI is slow. And that's one of the great things about the VB-99 is that it's not MIDI. It's processing each string individually. There's no latency. You know, you don't have to worry about the, you know, actually to get MIDI to read bass signals would require like a cryogenic computer with dry ice to keep it cool enough to process fast enough to read a low bass signal to put out a MIDI note. We can't carry around those kind of processors, but the processors in here processing the audio for each string is immediate, and there's individual processing for each string, plus A and B versions of those, plus all the modeling. I feel like I haven't scratched the surface of what it can do. You know.
How long have you been using the instrument?
I think about 3 years, something like that.
It's fantastic. So. Do you have any special sounds or anything you'd want to demonstrate for us? Or?
This makes a really nice melody sound if you barely mix in this octave. So this is the octave wah. The one thing about the VB-99 is that it rewards clean playing. You know, it's really hypersensitive, you know, which is what I look for, you know, in that the differences in volumes between notes, it will react to, you know. So I'm not looking for something to cover up my bad, you know, or cover up technique flaws, you know. So if you've got good technique, you're rewarded.
Do you have anything to say to up-and-coming bass players who are making their way into the industry?
I've always looked at this instrument, the bass, you know, as a user interface. And so I've always tried to modify, and in designing this instrument, try to modify the interface to accommodate how I want to play and the sounds I want to get. So if people coming up, if students, if young players can look at the instrument and the technology as a kind of a moldable interface for their imagination, I think that's how they should look at it, you know. So products like these, your instrument, how you set it up, if you start taking control of those things, it goes a long way to giving yourself an identity on the instrument, you know, with sounds, with how the instrument's built, how you play it. All those things go into the making of how you want to create music.